Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to show you how to knit a sweater vest, so let's get right into it. The first thing you're going to need is some circular knitting needles, and you're also going to need some yarn. I'm using Respun yarn by Lions brand, super nice and super bulky. And I'm also going to need a crochet hook for later. First, I'm going to start out by making a loop. I'm going to place the loop on my knitting needle, and then I'm going to be casting on 50 stitches in total, counting the loop that I already have on my knitting needle. So I'm just going to need to cast on another 49 stitches. Once I've casted on my 50 stitches, I'm going to turn my work around, and I'm going to start to jump right into my knit stitch. So I'm going to be doing a knit one, and then I'm going to carry that yarn forward, and I'm going to be doing my purl one, and then the yarn will go seamlessly to the back, and then I'll be ready to do my knit one again. I'm going to be doing this for 5 rows, so I'm just going to continue this for the rest of the row. And once we get towards the end of our row with our last knit stitch, we're going to turn our work around, and then we're going to go right into a purl stitch, because once you do a knit stitch, you then have to do a purl when you're doing knit one purl. So then I'll just be following that pattern for the rest of this row, and then completing this for 3 other rows. Once I've done my 5 rows in total, I'm going to start doing the front panel of my front piece. So I'm only going to be doing knit stitches for right now, and so I'm just going to go through all of the knits and the purls and just prepare to do that knit stitch. And once I have completed that knit row, I'm going to turn my work around, and I'll be facing all the purls. So now I'm going to do my purl side, and I will complete making purls. So I'm going to wrap that yarn around and pull towards the back. And once I have completed this row, I will then turn my work around and do the knit side, and then turn that knit side around and do the purl side, and repeat this for about 50 rows if you're a size medium. And once I have completed my 50 rows, I will show you guys what is next, because we're going to kind of switch it up right now. So I'm going to have to divide this into like 3 parts. So I want my neck area to have the largest area on these 3 parts, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So we're actually going to cast off and leave 13 stitches on our knitting stick. So we're going to knit 2 stitches and then carry the first loop over the second loop. That's how you cast off. And once we have our 13 stitches still on our knitting sticks, so you can see we have the 12 stitches here, and then you should also have 1 loop on your other knitting sticks, you're going to do the knit stitch and knit these 13 stitches regularly. And once you've done that first row of knit stitches, you're going to turn your work around just like we have been for the rest of the top, and do your purl side. And we're going to continue doing this for about 10 rows. So keep doing your purl side and then turn it over and do your knit side. And once you have done those 10 rows, we are then going to need to cast off and go to the other side. So I'm going to cast off like we did before, and once I have done my cast off stitches, I'll show you what's next. So now I'm going to cut the yarn from my yarn ball and pull up through, and this side is completely done. We can move on to the other side. Now I have a chunky yarn, so usually I go under 1 loop or go under those 2 stitches, but since it's so chunky and you can kind of see that I'm reattaching it, I'm going through the stitch. I have no idea if this is legit, but it worked for my piece. I don't usually do this, but I had to with this chunky yarn so that it looks more seamless that we are reattaching. So I'm just going to be going through the center of the stitches and making sure that we are casting on 13 of these stitches, because we want this side to be the exact same as the other side. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going through the right stitches and also casting on the 13. Once I've casted on my 13 stitches, I'm going to turn my work around, and that's when we are going to start to do our purl stitch. So it may feel a little bit different because it's a little bit more bulky under there, but just continue doing it and you'll be great. And once I've done my first rows, I'm going to continue making sure I have 10 rows in total done so it matches the other side. And once I do, I'm going to obviously cast off, and then the front panel should be done, and we will then prepare for the back panel, which will be the exact same, where you're going to cast on 50 stitches, do knit 1 purl 1 for 5 rows, and then you're going to work up 60 rows, and you're not going to do that 13 24 13 kind of shoulder part area. we're just doing a flat back for 60 rows. Once you have your 2 panels with you, you're going to put the knit sides together, make sure that they are facing so that we can attach these panels. And as we are attaching these panels, we're kind of going to poke through the top corners of both of them, and then we're going to wrap the yarn around, pull through all of those stitches, and then wrap around the yarn on our hook and pull through the 1 loop. And then we'll get ready to go into our slip stitch. So we're going to be attaching these panels by doing a slip stitch. This is the best with bulky yarn, and I love the end finish of how the slip stitch makes it look. Once I'm done that, I'm going to also wrap the yarn around my hook and then pull through that loop, and then I'm going to grab my scissors and chop the yarn off and pull that stitch up, and then we are good to go. And now I'm going to attach the other side just like we did this side, and also attaching the sides area. You want about 11 to 12 inches of the arm area open, so only attach up to that high. And once you've attached your panels, you're going to turn your work inside out, facing the outside of your work, and we're going to get ready to do the neck area. I'm going to go to the back, and in the center of the back, I'm going to poke my knitting needle there, wrap that yarn around and pull through. And there are stitches on the top here, so it makes it super simple to kind of cast these stitches back on. And we're doing this so that we can prepare to do the border for our neck area. Once I am getting around my neck area, I'm going to make sure I'm going under the 2 loops, because eventually there are no like real stitches here, so you're kind of creating stitches as you go. As you're approaching the front area of your pieces, there are the stitches at the top, just like the back area, making it super easy to cast on those stitches, so that's what you will do. As you're approaching the side, you might run into an area where there's a big hole if you cast on. So what I suggest to do is to grab another loop that's nearby and kind of go under that loop to just make it less of a hole there. And then you can continue just going under 2 stitches like we did before. And then I'll meet you guys once we're at the very back. Once we're at the back and everything is casted on, I'm just going to tie in the beginning of the string to where it's at right now, just to tie in those stitches. And once I'm done that, I'm just going to go right into my pattern, which is going to be the knit 1, purl 1. And I'm going to do that for 5 rows, just like we did for the border area. So once I'm done my purl, I'll go into my knit and then repeat. Once I'm done my 5 rows of my knit 1, purl 1, I'm going to actually be casting off, but I'm actually going to knit 5, and then I'm going to do a decrease on the 6th stitch. This is to allow the neck area to kind of be tailored in a bit so that it's not so loose and it has a nice finish. So after I've done my knit 5, I'm going to decrease with grabbing 2 stitches and then wrapping that around and pulling through and then casting off at the same time. So we want to be doing our casting off, but then also on our 6th stitch doing that decrease so that we have a very nice finish. Once I'm done and I've fully casted off the row, I'm going to, this is just what I tend to do, I just go across to the beginning, weave under there, and then, so I wrap under, grab that yarn, and then I pull it through the loop, and it just makes it a little bit more secure. You can also do that with your crochet hook, and once that's done, pull it through, and then the neck area is fully done, and you can see that nice finish. And then I'm going to show you guys how to do the arm area, and we're almost done. Once I get my knitting needle and poke it through the bottom center of the sleeve, I'm just going to cast on like we have been doing for the neck area. So I'm going to make sure I'm going under 2 loops all the way around, and I want to make sure that there's not too many stitches that I'm adding, but just the right amount. And once I've cast on everything, I've used my long knitting needles to show you guys, because you can poke your wire through just like that to give you guys more flexibility and movement when you're knitting. And once I am at the bottom of my sleeve, I'm going to then start to prepare to do my pattern, which is also going to be the knit 1, and then bring that yarn forward and we're going to do our purl 1. And the reason being is because we want to make sure that we are following the kind of pattern that matches with the rest of our sweater vest. So now that I have completed that, if you need, you just pull the wire at the middle wherever you need it when you have ran out of stitches, and then you can keep moving. Once you are more settled and more flexible, you can keep doing your knit one, purl one once you've moved that wire so that it's easy for you to knit in case you don't have smaller circular knitting needles. And once I've done that, I'm just going to cast off. You can do some decreases here, however, I just do a regular cast off. And once I'm done casting off all of my stitches and tying in my loose strings, I'm fully done my sweater vest. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye!